Hi everyone, my name is Mike Wilson from Vegas Crypto Group and InformAndPower.com. We host weekly events here in Vegas. We have for 7 years, mostly centered around emerging technology such as Web3, AI, crypto, and blockchain. And I'm excited to invite everyone over to come check it out on InformAndPower.com. We have training courses, we have a documentary, we have our virtual summit, but we also have an events list, and so you can check out all our events listed on InformAndPower.com. I'm here today just to talk a little bit about the foundations of crypto, and the way I like to do that is just by using words that people never hear or very rarely hear during the course of conversation. And so some of those words include self-custody, and so that's also known as non-custodial. What that means is you don't have a custodian for your money. And so we highly encourage people to use wallets such as Edge Wallet, which allows you to hold your own money. It's safe and secure and easy way to transact and use crypto. Also, we are encouraging businesses and people alike to accept crypto as payment. So we love to use Bitcoin. We also love to use Litecoin and Monero. And some of the great reasons why we love crypto so much is because it's permissionless and it's trustless. And so what that means is you don't need to know the person that you're trading with in order to trust them. You trust the code. And that's really where the value is in crypto, is in the code. And so there's a ton of other amazing things that you can do with crypto. So we have social media built on Farcaster. We have music. There are so many other amazing applications. On-chain storage is becoming big in blockchain. There's AI, LLMs, those large language models that are built into ICP. And of course, gaming is a big part of what we do. And so there's some great blockchains, Sui, and of course, Polkadot are two that are focused on gaming. But there's so much more that blockchain will touch on, including supply chain management and things of that nature as well. And so as we continue to grow out the crypto industry, you'll start to see NFT being used for more than just art. NFTs will be used for college transcriptions. It'll be used for titles, your car titles. So we don't need a DMV anymore. We don't need this centralized source for title. The blockchain is a ledger, and that will record your title, and same with the deed to your house. We don't really need the county anymore to record that. It'll be immutable on the blockchain. And so these are just some of the few uses of crypto that people don't really know about just yet. So we're still kind of early, but it is starting to pick up. I'm the president of the Nevada chapter of Stand With Crypto, where we work with crypto-friendly politicians to push forward crypto-friendly policy. And it's extremely important to us that we let our voices be heard. So standwithcrypto.org has a place for you to put in your address and look up your local representative. At that point, you're welcome to reach out and talk to them and let them know that you stand with crypto and that you'd like to see common sense policy and regulations around cryptocurrency. Standwithcrypto.org also has a grade for each representative, and it goes from A to F. And so some of our representatives get an F, and some get A's and B's and C's and D's. And so the ones that are crypto friendly are the ones that we're focused on. And of course, we want to work with all sides of the aisle. We're not the left or right. We just want to see common sense regulation come to America, because what's happening is without clear regulation, companies are starting in other countries, and it's a problem. We want to keep innovation here in America, and if we're going to do that, we need to work with the regulators and the lawmakers in Washington D.C. and of course here in Nevada, where we're the tip of the spear when it comes to money. I think Vegas could be another word for money, oftentimes. So at that, I will leave you, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of got a glimpse of what we're doing here. Now, next Tech Alley, of course, the third Saturday of every month. Next Tech Alley is June 19th, third Saturday of every month. Come out. We're going to have another scavenger hunt. This one will just be indoors. And so it'll be a nice, cool, and fun time. We'll have some more AR art for you, and lots of prizes and giveaways. I just want to remind everyone, we serve lunch at noon. And today we're highlighting Arrow AI. So from 4 to 6, we're having some more food. And we really, here at Tech Alley, have a history of supporting startups and giving them the exposure that they need. So if you're a tech startup, or if you know someone who is a tech startup or has a tech startup, absolutely refer them down to Tech Alley. Invite a friend. This is the goal here. Invite a friend. Go to informempower.com for all our events. And I'm going to bring up Steve, who's a very valued community member, and he's going to talk a little bit about Litecoin and some other great things. His presentation is titled
Crypto for Business
and Customers. Crypto for Business and Customers. And thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it. And I'll pass the mic over to Steve. Thank you so much. And there's some handouts. We'll hand some of these out.
Yeah, exactly. Hello, how are you? Good afternoon. My name's Steve X. I run under a brand that I've called Crypto is Cash. Some of you guys are familiar, some are not. I'm not familiar with these 3 or 4 gentlemen. That's fine. It's good. I don't need to be talking to the same old people over and over again. The name of the presentation is Crypto for Businesses and Customers. This is the culmination. My whole 8.5 by 11 sheet folded in half is a culmination of probably actually several years of running through the ringer, being an excited cryptocurrency enthusiast, trying to get anybody and everybody into accepting cryptocurrencies, and then realizing exactly that as a business there may not be a need to do it, and customers don't really understand that crypto can be spent. So I'm trying to deliver a message and assemble a message that puts the two in touch with each other. Is there anybody here who's not already familiar with crypto? Okay, that's good. This is good.
First thing.
Yeah, everybody knows crypto a little bit. Okay, so I'm not going to go over the basics too much. Some of the basics a little bit. I'm going to jump right into retail adoption, and then I'm going to touch base with a little bit of what Mike talked about with the custodial versus non-custodial, and then I'm going to talk about crypto wallets, and then I'll be getting to the point of sale cash registers, and then cryptocurrency conversions and the fees that go along with that, bringing that in towards the businesses. The retail adoption, actually 2025 is a pretty big year for retail adoption. Steak and Shake Hamburgers is probably the largest national chain to accept cryptocurrency, and they're accepting Bitcoin on the Lightning Network. Not my favorite chain, but it is excellent that there is a business out there who's willing to put the first step forward. Now, retail adoption has almost existed since the beginning of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was invented in 2009. By 2010, 2 pizzas were sold for 50,000 Bitcoin. So that was pretty much the first transaction. In 2011, Silk Road was around and people were buying drugs and all sorts of bad things on the internet, because at the time, Bitcoin was a currency that was pretty much non-traceable. People were paying cash and gold and things like this through the mail and taking risks like that to get their Bitcoin, which could then be electronic money and sent anywhere in the world. And I believe at this time, Bitcoin might have been 25, 50, maybe $100 or something like that. I think it was about $100 in 2013. Not really price action. By 2014, Microsoft, Overstock.com, even the Golden Gate Hotel and the D Hotel here in Las Vegas were accepting cryptocurrencies, predominantly Bitcoin. It seems that the Golden Gate and the D were actually using a company called BitPay to do their transactions. I've gotten conflicting information on this as to whether it was BitPay or whether they just had ATM machines there and people could use the ATM machines. I do know that I tried a few years ago to spend some crypto there and they weren't doing it at the time. Which brings me to a point. In 2014 is about the time that the Bitcoin community started to talk about Bitcoin as a store of value, as digital gold versus the spending money, which it had been prior to that. I'm not going to get into the controversy on that too much, but I will say that many businesses do use BitPay today, and BitPay is a paid custodial service. So if you're a business, BitPay operates much like Square or Visa or something like that. You pay, they provide the product that presents the QR code for the crypto payment, and then they convert that to US dollars or however you wish to do it. If you wish to get US dollars and crypto, they can split it up in different things. But they charge, I think, probably about 2% fee or so on that. I'm going to come back to that more later with as far as BitPay goes and other options that are not custodial. Speaking of custodial and non-custodial, Mike had touched on it earlier about custodial being when somebody else custodies your cryptocurrency versus non-custodial, which is when somebody else does not custody your cryptocurrency. Non-custodial is also known as self-custody, which makes a lot more sense. So when you buy cryptocurrency on from a company like Coinbase or Kraken or one of these larger exchanges, in effect, you're giving them your personal information, your banking information generally through the Plaid app, and Plaid asks to put in your username and password, which is what is the one thing you don't do with your stuff. So in a world where identity theft is the #1 crime in the world, 1 in every 4 crimes is identity theft. They're actually making it mainstream to use this information and give away your most valuable information to a third-party company that supposedly keeps it safe. And I haven't had any problems yet, but that is the case. I will say as a note on that, if you're going to do that, find yourself a small bank in your neighborhood, in your town, and use that bank only for your Plaid purchases. That way any other bank accounts you have aren't attached to that Plaid, and you can keep as little or much money as you need in that one account. Okay, coming back to custodial versus non-custodial. As I was mentioning, Coinbase and Kraken would be custodial situations. So you give them the money and they send you an email or on your account, they say you've got X amount of Bitcoin, X amount of Litecoin, and that you have that Litecoin. Well, in effect, they've got the actual crypto and they are putting it on a notation on your account that X amount of their crypto is dedicated to you. And they do this to everybody. And it's essentially how the regular banking system works. So it's something that most people are familiar with, but don't think about. Because when you go to the bank, you get your money. The difference between cryptocurrencies and US dollars or fiat currency that's held in a bank is that your cryptocurrency is not, it can't be printed by the government when it gets stolen. So when your bank gets robbed, the federal FDIC insurance can insure the bank, or other insurances can insure the bank so that you don't lose your funds. With cryptocurrency, it doesn't work like that. When another company loses your cryptocurrency, or if you lose it, it's gone. That's what that's all about. In a custodial situation or a non-custodial situation, also known as self-custody, self-custodial, you are the person that has what's called a cryptographic key that functions. A cryptographic key in the crypto world functions like a key for a safe deposit box functions. And just like items in a safety deposit box are either permanently locked in there, or if they're stolen from there, they're gone. The same thing happens with a cryptocurrency key. So you need to protect that key in all manners and ways. I'm not going to go into the details on that. There's plenty of videos and other topics on that. I'm sticking with how the money works for businesses and retailers. So this is where the similarities are between why I brand as crypto as cash. In a custodial environment, aka the banking environment, it's something we're used to. In a non-custodial environment, it's also something we're used to, but on a different level. It's kind of like having cash in your pocket. If you pull out your pocket and you drop a $20 bill and you walk away from it, it's gone. Cryptocurrencies are similar to that, as if you lose your keys, you won't have access to that anymore. So you treat your cryptocurrency keys just like you treat your physical items that you keep in your pocket in your house. You don't want to lose them. Which means that cryptocurrency is like cash in that matter, except it's electric, which means you can now send it all over the world, and depending on which coin you're using, generally for less than a penny. Some more, not so much. Are there any questions? Okay, cool.
I love when the exchanges hold my crypto though.
You love when the exchanges hold your crypto. No, I mean, there's advantages to that. There's advantages to that. I mean, being responsible for your crypto keys can be stressful, and while there's different methods for dealing with that, there's different methods for dealing with that. Yeah.
Has anyone or anything ever tried to figure out a way to get some of the people's, get some of the wallets or whatever that they lost the keys?
I'll say yes. That's not the topic of this discussion, but no, that's fine. But yeah, there's actually people that sell old wallet DAT files. So when Bitcoin first came out and some of these other cryptocurrencies, instead of having a 12-word passphrase, they would just have a single file called like a wallet DAT file. Maybe you heard about the guy in Great Britain that his wife threw out his hard drive. Well, that had the wallet DAT file in there. So I've seen online people sell wallet DAT files, and if you can crack the code on it, you can have all the money in it. So people do try that, and yes, yeah.
Are any of them actually successful though?
That I couldn't tell you. That's a question I have too, because there's some. They say that there's more seed phrases in the world than there are grains of sand or stars in the universe. So I don't know. That's a lot, but still, you could be random. I don't know. Anyway, so to solve some of this problem, we have crypto wallets. So some crypto wallets, almost all crypto wallets, mobile wallets, you need to generate a seed phrase right off the bat and memorize and write it down, or not memorize, but write it down on a piece of paper, yada, 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 the regular thing. With the Edge wallet, which is a sponsorship of today's event, and also a very good wallet, not only is it privacy focused, not only is it self-custodial, but also they've got an excellent onboarding, or not onboarding, an excellent user experience for accessing your crypto. They use a traditional username, password, and PIN number situation that they keep all the information. It's encrypted on your phone. It does live on their servers, encrypted, and they do have a recovery process. It's not quite as good as, oh, I lost my password, can you send me a new one on the email? Because it's still your responsibility to make sure you have all the puzzles in a row. But at least when it comes to signing in and stuff, you just use your username and password, and it just works very good. The other advantage of Edge Wallet is that it's well, let me back up here. So when it comes to crypto wallets, there's hot wallets and cold wallets. In this case, Edge would be considered a hot wallet because it's connected to the internet. A wallet is cold when it's not connected to the internet. There are hardware wallets and tools out there to help you with this, and generally that's for larger amounts, not money you're going to be keeping in your pocket shopping and things like that. There's also multi-coin wallets and single coin wallets. So a single coin wallet would be, say, a Bitcoin only wallet. The only coin you can keep on it would be Bitcoin or Litecoin or Solana or Cardano or something like that. And then there's multi-coin wallets. Multi-coin wallets allow you to have multiple cryptocurrencies. So Edge, I think, has well over 1,000 choices that you can add to that wallet. Other wallets are multi-crypto, but they still maybe have 5 or 10 cryptos, or 3 or 4. There's plenty of them out there with all sorts of different ones. Some multi-crypto wallets are strictly in the Ethereum realm, or what's known as an ERC20 token. Edge does both. It does Solana, it does ERC, Ethereum, it does Bitcoin, which is also known as a UTXO tokens. So Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dogecoin, all those would be called UTX tokens, and they're essentially just some sort of copy of Bitcoin. So with Edge Wallet, you can trade in between any token and coin via their wallet. They've got a lot of nice services on there. The reason I like Edge is because you get an absolutely excellent retail experience like you would get with Crypto.com, Coinbase.com, or any one of these other wallets that ask for your personal information. They ask for your ID, they ask for your banking information, all these things. With Edge, to use it, you don't need all that information. I think for recovery, you might have to submit an email, but it's a much less intrusive and invasive wallet, and this very, very high quality product. Of course, there are many, many other wallets, as I kind of mentioned before, but I'm not going to talk about those today, just to keep on subject. So when it comes to business, if you're a business owner, you either would want your money held on a hardware wallet, whereby you would just get the information. It's usually an XPub is what's called. It's a key that you would input into the cash register that allows the cash register to generate new QR codes for each transaction instead of using the same address over and over again. And this, if somebody has access to the XPub, they would have access to visualize your wallet, but they don't have access to spend any of the money in it. So the Edge wallet is kind of a good compromise. It's much harder to use a hardware wallet. So the hardware wallet would be, if you're a business owner, you take your Edge wallet, you get your XPub information, you put it into the cash registers, which I'm going to talk about shortly here. And then when the funds go to your Edge wallet, you can then distribute them to your hardware wallet or wherever your tax guy might have you do that, if that's your choice. As a customer, having Edge means that you can use any cryptocurrency that's out there for the most part. I mean, there's such a wide variety. It's not the most cutting edge wallet, but it has a very large variety of coins. As I mentioned, about 1,000 different coins and tokens. So the ease of use for a customer point of view, it's easy to set up, it's easy to use, it's secure, it's safe. And for day-to-day usage, it's a very good wallet. You can benefits of it. You can, if somebody, let's say you're talking to your friends and somebody wants to give you $5 in Bitcoin. Well, that's a bad example. There are limits on some of the swaps you can do, but it has built-in exchange, financial exchanges, and you can buy gift cards. So let's say you've got $100 worth of Litecoin and you're somewhere like the JRNY gallery and you want to buy a soda, but you don't have any cash on you, and for whatever reason you left your wallet in the car and you don't feel like getting it, but you got your phone with you, which I guess in today's world it's kind of the same thing, right? Anyway, you can, right within Edge, you can buy gift cards, is my point. So you can buy gift cards for different things, different areas, different businesses, and just spend that like cash if the business doesn't already accept crypto. But as I mentioned at the beginning, with businesses like Steak and Shake accepting crypto already, and I think I failed to mention that Square is introducing the Bitcoin to their system too. So any location that has Square should soon be able to accept the cryptocurrencies directly through Square. I would imagine that would be the business's choice, but supposedly it was announced here a month or so ago that that's what Square is doing. So that would be a custodial environment, which is why I'm now talking about the cash registers that businesses can use that are not custodial. Self-custodied ways of accepting cryptocurrencies. One of the older ones is called BTC Pay Server, that was created by the Bitcoin people, and then it's an open source software and other coins have been added to it, Monero, Litecoin. But it does take a little bit of technical know-how to get the server going and set it up and things like that. It does have some advanced features in that it incorporates with like WooCommerce and Shopify and other online stores. So I think it's pretty good for that. Another choice would be BitPay. I talked about them earlier. They are 100% custodial, so they would accept the cryptocurrency and then distribute it to the business owner, minus their small fee, and then telling the business owner whether it's going to be fiat or crypto. There's lots of choices there. And of course, because of that, it's easy conversion and it gets paid. The choice that I like is something that took me a little bit to find it. It's an app called BitRequest, and it's available on Android and iOS. They also have a web version, a little web app that works very good, especially on older devices. So what I've done is I do have an example of it here on this old pad that I got from, it was donated. And this is, I think, Android KitKat, so it's like 4.41. It's old. I think we're at Android 13 or 14 right now, maybe 16. And I'm able to run the software on here via basically the Opera browser. I'll show you a little bit more on this in a little bit. Basically, though, what it does, actually, let me show it to you now. So I'm going to start it up here. And I've got this set up. I set this up last night. If anybody wants afterwards, I can show you how to set it up. It just takes a couple of minutes. You can do your choices of cryptocurrencies, which is one of the things I like about it. And it literally takes about 5 or 10 minutes per crypto to get it set up. So what happens here is, let's just do Bitcoin Cash, for example. So with your normal POS system, you would, this is how it's done actually at Steak and Shake as well. So they use the regular cash register, they ring up the bill, they look at the amount that's owed, and then they just go ahead and type it in here. So the amount is $45, right? And then
Where did the conversion
go. What's that?
Where did the conversion rate comes from? Like,
This one connects to CoinMarketCap. You can change that too. I'm probably going to ask him also for if he can add a way to make it so to add a percentage on there. So if the vendor wants to swap, they don't have to eat it. You know.
burger changes if you bought it at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. It could change that. You know?
Right. That's how they do it. Yeah. Well, that would be another thing. Right now, the employee would type on their regular thing how much it is, and then they would take that dollar amount and put it on here, and that's probably a bug from my perspective, something I need to work with vendors on how to get that clear communication. There are still some businesses that use cash registers too. But so I did notice last time when I was messing with this, the desk was not working. It used to work just fine, so I don't know what the developer did or what's going on. And it looks like it's not letting me, like there's some buttons that are grayed out. So that's a flaw, I'm sorry to say. But it worked. It might work on my regular phone app. This is a little bit different because it's an old system. So, but the purpose of this, though, versus using a regular wallet, is that this means that your employees wouldn't have access to your funds, and it'll indicate that it was paid. So let me just see here. I could probably let me just do dollars here, and then I'll see if I can't pay $1 with. Let's see what happens here. Oops, my hands are full. Yeah, here we go. Send. Okay, confirm payment. And then hopefully everything works right and it'll show it gets paid, which, let's give it a second here. I did not test this part of it last night. I've used it in the past and it worked great, so there may be some glitches going on that I'm not familiar with. I believe I'm running this off of the developer server, so I'm not running an old version off my own server, which brings me to another point. You can run it on your own server. It's super light. You just upload the folder, and it's open source. The developer, you tip him some money and he'll make some changes to it. You know, I haven't reviewed the code, so there might be some dangers, but given that you're not giving any private keys, I don't know what they could possibly do, you know. So somehow swap your XPub maybe, but you know, I don't think that's the goal. The website's pretty good, you know what I'm saying? Obviously it's not working right now. I'm pretty disappointed at that, but which is where I come in, because I do the troubleshooting. So if you're a business, I get you set up. Hopefully I've got a device. If you don't already have a device, I can get you a device. Generally get it cleaned up, get it set up for this situation. You know, wipe it and then get it reset up, and depending on the age of the device. And it depends on your budget too. If you're a business that doesn't want to invest a lot of money, I mean, if you're willing to spend $200, you can go down to the T-Mobile store and buy yourself a device that's going to be used solely for this, you know, or we can take one of your old phones or iPads and convert it. But so that's mostly the conclusion there. I do have one more subject, but before I go into that, is there any questions other than why doesn't this work? All right, cool. Is anybody here a business owner that would like to accept crypto or has thought about it?
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, good. So this brings us to the fees. Okay, so many cryptos have very low fees. I think currently Bitcoin is at about 12 or 13 cents per transaction. Some people might think that's cheap. I think it's outrageously expensive. And if I think 12 cents is outrageously expensive, then when the Bitcoin network gets busy and the fees go up to 50 and $100, you can imagine what I think about that. And it was those fees that led me to find other coins like Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash. And really, I'll be honest with you, my main influence on those two coins is that Cash App and not Cash App, but PayPal and Venmo, pretty much the same company, also use those coins. I think they've opened their range more now that the politics have changed. But when they first came out, they did Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Ethereum, because those were the very. It's hard for the government to say yes to Bitcoin and no to Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, because it's almost literally the same code. So that's how, I think that was PayPal's choice at the time. So when I first started doing this, that was what was happening, and I stuck with those. Also, my goal was to take the thousands and thousands of cryptos out there and hone it down to a few that can be used for money and are pretty much trustworthy. Like, you're not going to get rug pulled by the actual developer of the cryptocurrencies. I also promote Monero. So I don't know if you saw, I had Monero on the tablet there. Because of its privacy, and it's just such a very unique coin, and the Monero community is very focused on using it as money. Same with Litecoin, and same with the Bitcoin Cash. Those communities are very focused on their coin being used as money. The investment side of things is a far lower priority to the developers than it is for it to be good, safe money for people to use outside of your government. A good trade commodity. So the fees are like this. The mining fees is what I was talking about earlier with the Bitcoin at about 15 cents. Well, currently, I think Litecoin's probably about 1/10 of a cent, and up to 1/2 cent, and Bitcoin Cash is close to a few hundredths of a cent for their regular transactions. Monero is usually about 1 or 2 cents. Obviously, for day-to-day transactions, as I mentioned, I think 12 cents is outrageous. So is 1 cent, But it's also a penny, and I guess the pennies are going away. So maybe I need to put things in perspective here, Anyway, 1 to 2 cents isn't bad, It's not bad. And if you're the business, the vendor, you're not paying those fees. The buyer's paying those fees, because that's a mining fee. So the sender pays the mining fee. But if you're going to move the money around, then eventually the business owner is going to have to pay those mining fees as well. Also, as I mentioned, BitPay can automatically convert your, let's just say, Litecoin into US dollars for you and send that to your bank account. That does not happen with BitRequest, because it's just only that piece of software. And of course, there's no licensing or managing of the money, and you're managing everything yourself. There's a couple of things you can do for that. Either keep the money self-custody yourself, which I highly recommend. If you're interested in cryptocurrencies, and even if you're a business owner and you've got your overhead and you've got bills to pay, this is so new that you might get. I would think the most money you're going to make in a month on cryptocurrencies is $100 or $200. And I don't know any businesses, or at least too many businesses, where $100 or $200 a month maximum is going to ruin your business operation, by getting it in cryptocurrency and hodling or holding on to that crypto versus converting it into US dollars. The plus for the customer is that if they buy their crypto on Wednesday for $50, and on Thursday or Friday it goes up to $60, they're getting a 10% discount, which of course they're going to have to pay tax on that win, which is a whole other thing, unless of course you have your self-custody crypto, and just it becomes more like cash. You don't get taxed every time the dollar changes value on the international market, so why should you get taxed every time your crypto changes value? But that is something between you and your accountants and your own personal decisions. But when it comes to converting, I've noticed that different decentralized exchanges that generally don't accept, that don't take IDs and stuff, especially for small amounts. If you're talking $2,000 or $3,000, some of them, like ChangeNow, may want you to submit ID. There's others out there that don't care about that at all. But ChangeNow is a pretty good one. They have very high liquidity, and they're charging between 1% and 3% for a transaction. So the fail on that is that any money that a vendor saves by accepting crypto over a credit card gets annihilated when you convert. And then, of course, with Cash App and Zelle coming on the scene, there's like no fees going on with that right now. I pretty much can guarantee you, without knowing anything about the industry or how it works, that fact is not going to last forever, and eventually those fees are going to start coming in when they do that. Which brings me back to who's the guy that does the old Twitter? Jack?
Dorsey.
Yeah, Dorsey, the guy who runs Block and Square. He's got the big push on, forget the Bitcoin is gold narrative. We need to spend this stuff. Well, when you're spending Bitcoin, you're doing it on the Lightning Network. And as the fees go up and the spendable money gets locked into the Lightning Network and nobody can afford to put it back on the main chain, it's obvious to me, not everybody, I've had many arguments with this, especially at the Bitcoin meetups, that once that separation's there, when you have Bitcoin Lightning, it will effectively be an entirely different animal from actual Bitcoin. And rich people, bankers, and the exact same situation we're in now with the banks controlling the world the way they do will be the same situation that Bitcoin is set up for. So this comes back to the 2014 thing when they were having a little bit of controversy there. I'll let you guys look into that on your own. But which is why I'm encouraging self-custody and not using Bitcoin, not the Lightning Network. Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, all work very good as money. And the reason Bitcoin's value is as high as it is isn't because of any technical magic that it has over many other cryptos. It's entirely a social network thing. So, I know I broke a lot of people's hearts with that one, but I also know that, a lot of you know that same exact thing. That doesn't mean you shouldn't get your Bitcoin. I mean, it is a long-term savings thing, and if you keep it on chain and don't store it on the Lightning Network, store it on chain, store it with your own keys, it's probably the best way, but there's so much KYC going around that stuff right now, I don't even know how that plays out. So I talked about conversions, about 2%, and so you've got somebody pays you $500 in Bitcoin Cash, you could plan on losing 1.5%. Sometimes actually Bitcoin Cash, I've had 0.5% on these transactions sometimes. So, and Litecoin too, just depends on your exchange and the timing, Well, actually, speaking of Bitcoin Cash, they have a stable coin that's like not even a year old on that network. So my final note, there's many options. There's many, many, many options. I spend my time exploring this stuff. If anybody has any questions, my information's on that sheet of paper that I passed out, and I am more than willing to babysit anybody through this, especially new businesses, because I don't know what I'm doing either. I've yet to have one business where I've been able to onboard and follow through and work out any sort of bugs and the whole logistics of how this works. So the mechanics of it have to be worked out, and that's that. Oh, I forgot. If you don't have the Edge wallet,